LaChapelle's warnings echoed through Valentina's mind, cold as wind moaning through a crypt. She conjured the beggars as legend painted them. Faces streaked with sorrow and filth, eyes black as bottomless wells, their innocence a veil stretched over chasms of malice. Their voices could mimic hope, their smiles were snares set for the soft-hearted. The memory of vanished travelers, swallowed by shadow, bartered away in riddles and ruin, sent frost skittering over her skin. Each tale was a ghost's whisper, threading dread into her resolve. To silence her rising anxiety, Valentina repeated, "She's an experienced traveler. I can trust Aunt LaChapelle's advice. She's been right about everything so far." Each affirmation was a shield, bolstering her courage and fortifying her against the unknown. She drew strength from LaChapelle's legacy, wrapping herself in the comfort of trust, and pressed on toward the crossroads, a world of peril and possibility stretching before her. Soon the path spilled Valentina into a clearing painted with sunlight and shadow. There she found a creature spun from the threads of nightmare and myth. A mosaic of emerald and sapphire scales glimmered on its serpentine body, catching the sun like shifting jewels. Delicate wings, opaline and trembling, pressed close to its sides, and its tail, a ribbon of midnight, coiled protectively around a wounded limb. Most haunting were its eyes, vast elliptical mirrors that glowed with a fever dream's light, each gaze a spell that tangled awe and terror in Valentina's heart. A shiver crawled down her spine. She averted her gaze, heartbeat quickening, torn between compassion and suspicion. The warnings from LaChapelle rang in her mind, tales of beguiling predators that lured the unwary with their beauty, only to reveal fangs beneath their smiles. A moment's war raged within her, compassion clashing with caution, before Valentina tore herself away. She left the beast nestled in wild grass, its breath ragged, its gaze a voiceless song of pleading. The choice sliced her heart, but the armor of LaChapelle's wisdom held firm. She whispered an apology, a feather lost in the wind, and pressed forward, unknowing that her small act of mercy denied would ripple outward, weaving new threads of fate into the tapestry of her own story. As she ventured deeper, the forest became an opera of anguish. The cries of wounded creatures rose and fell, haunting the air with their unending lament. Majestic beings, once proud, now ruined, lay strewn among roots and brambles, blood clinging to battered wings and dulled scales. Some quivered in pain, others lifted imploring eyes as she passed, their suffering twisting like thorns around Valentina's heart. Every whimper was a requiem, a brutal lesson in the dangers that stalked those who dared to feel. Grief hounded her. Valentina ran, hands pressed to her ears, trying to shut out the dirge that snapped at her heels. Still, the cries seeped in, gnawing at the edges of her resolve and clawing at the fragile barricades she'd built around her heart. Sobs tore loose as she darted between fallen trees and whimpering beasts, forcing herself onward, refusing to look back, lest guilt root her in grief's tangled snare. Then, a voice cut through the cacophony, guttural and desperate, rooting Valentina in place. "Help us, please. We beg you. We were attacked by a stranger, someone sinister, someone who smells like you." The plea, raw and jagged, lanced straight to her core. The words tangled her fate with theirs, guilt and bewilderment surging in her chest. Suddenly, the forest's agony was no longer a distant sorrow. It was a mirror pressed to her own soul, and her heart thundered beneath the weight of mystery and blame. "What do you mean, the same scent as me?" Valentina asked, her voice shaking with both fear and curiosity. She paused, unsure whether to be wary or try to understand what bound her to these injured strangers. The forest grew quiet, as if everything was waiting for a reply. "Yes, I can smell the similarities," the creature replied, his tone deep and resonant, eyes glinting with curiosity and something almost reverent. He lifted his battered head, nostrils flaring as he studied her, as if he could read the secrets carved into her very soul. The unique scent that surrounded Valentina, once a private, hidden aspect of her identity, now hung in the air like a veil of mystery, heavy with implication. The tension thickened, the forest darkening around them, as she struggled to comprehend how her path could be so inextricably linked with the suffering and secrets of these strange beings. "You're right, brother. I can smell it too," another creature said, his voice rough as he dragged himself across the ground, his scales torn and bleeding. He crawled slowly toward Valentina, clearly in pain. "She carries the scent of the royal bloodline," he announced, making the moment even more mysterious. His wide, wounded eyes met Valentina's, showing a deep vulnerability that took her breath away. Each scar on him showed the violence he had faced, and as Valentina realized what her heritage meant, she felt a deep chill. Her journey was now tangled with old and dark forces she had never expected. "Someone from my kingdom hurt everyone here? Are you sure?" Valentina asked, her voice unsteady in the cold morning. She looked at the injured creatures at her feet, their bodies and faces showing clear signs of violence. Doubt filled her, making her shiver. The idea that someone with her royal mark could cause such harm shook her sense of honor and duty. She felt the pressure of her heritage and wondered if her kingdom's name was being used for evil, or if there was a traitor among them. "Yes, I'm completely sure," the creature answered, his voice shaking as he remembered the attack. He pulled back, his eyes wide and shining with fear, breathing hard. With trembling hands, he reached under his torn cloak and pulled out a dagger. Its blade was chipped and stained, catching the morning light. "We were on our way home when we were attacked with this." The weapon was made from a strange metal, and its handle was wrapped in black leather. It seemed to give off a sense of danger, as if it still held the memory of the attack. Valentina stared at the blade, her eyes narrowing as she examined every mark. She moved closer, tense but determined, and spoke with anger. "Are you sure the attacker was from my kingdom's royal family? This dagger and its design are unlike anything I've seen at home. The metal and the runes aren't from our forges." Her words broke the silence, but inside she felt a deep sense of betrayal. The idea that a traitor or impostor could be among her people hurt her pride and tested her sense of justice. "Are you really sure it wasn't made in your kingdom?" the wounded creature asked, his voice thin and desperate. He leaned forward, claws digging into the dirt as if searching for proof. Their eyes met, and for a moment, everything felt still. The silence was heavy, and each heartbeat seemed to carry the weight of what might happen next. "I am sure," Valentina said, frowning as she leaned in for a closer look. Her fingers hovered over the blade, almost touching the strange runes and feeling the cold of the rare metal. "This isn't our steel. The balance, the weight, even the smell of the metal, none of it is from my people. Look, the handle is wrapped in a hide I don't recognize, and these symbols are not from my kingdom." She took in every detail, her expertise clear even as doubt crept in. The dagger was a puzzle, a clue in the chaos, and a warning that enemies could be anywhere. "My apologies. I must have you confused with someone else," the beast muttered, but a slow, chilling smile spread across his face. A shadow seemed to pass over his features, twisting his mouth into something wolfish and unnatural. The change in his expression was subtle but precise, and Valentina felt her stomach drop as she noticed the deceit in his suddenly bright eyes. She realized the truth was slipping further away. "Yes, you must have me mistaken for someone else," Valentina replied, her voice edged with suspicion. Instinct warned her, sending chills down her spine and telling her to back away. She stepped back carefully, ready to run, her eyes fixed on the beast's changing face. The tension between them was thick, and she sensed danger building. "I cannot let you leave. It's dangerous out there. "We wouldn't want anything to happen to someone of your royal status," the beast said, his voice dropping lower and filled with menace. He stood tall, his midnight black fur shining and blood-red eyes fixed on her with a predator's focus. In one quick motion, he shed the illusion of injury, showing a strong, unhurt body beneath the rags. The change sent a wave of fear through Valentina. The air felt colder, and the beast's claws flexed, ready to attack. The threat was now clear and immediate. "Brother, she's of royal blood. Think of the fortune we could gain. She could even serve us," the second beast said, moving forward with a hungry look in his eyes. Greed twisted his face, every tooth showing in anticipation. The air felt heavy with ambition, pressing in on Valentina. She pulled back, feeling the distance between their goals and her own. The promise of power and wealth made everything tense, ready to break. "Stay back! I do not quarrel with any of you, and I will never be a servant to anyone," Valentina shouted, her voice shaking but strong. Her heart pounded as the beast's intentions became clear. Instinct took over. She twisted, muscles tensed, and in one quick move she spun and ran, her cloak flying behind her. Pebbles scattered as she raced over the rough ground, lungs burning. All she could hear was her breath and her feet hitting the earth. She was terrified, but her determination pushed her forward in a desperate run for freedom.